Alright, welcome to the Hail to the King update, which is mostly just the blacksmith, the new support character we got here. The blacksmith is the new support, and he's very interesting. So you can see I'm using his power there just to craft something, just because I kind of want to get an idea of what it is. But he operates very differently from how all the other characters operate, which is neat. I actually like that because it's basically Saber is willing to break the mold, so to say, in terms of what the characters are and what they do. So it's not like a health variation. Now he does something completely different. Speaking of which, there are other patch notes as well. The one I am the most excited for, actually, is the leaders. Finally, the leaders got a buff. They're not so much like just a novelty anymore. Whereas Annie got an increase to the pink F for 5 slots. So she can do up to, she can go up to 5. Arthur can go up to 5 in melee, which is appropriate for both of them and their power. So that's kind of cool. They're willing to switch up the pink Fs on that, and yeah, leaders have been sorely in need of some kind of TLC. So very happy to see that. But yeah, this is the new one, the blacksmith, and he's very tanky. He actually so he doesn't do any range damage, but he has a lot of benefits that come with that, including he has more health than the average support, and he also has a weapon mastery of just melee, not one thing or another thing, just melee. So that is pretty neat. He's he is a support, but he's also kind of a warrior. Not even kind of. He's pretty close to a warrior, really. He feels more like a warrior than a support character. So I remember a lot of people speculated he would be a leader because, because if you look at the survivors, it would even out if he would be another leader, but canonically that would make no sense because Arthur is already his leader. So now we have 5 supports, and yeah, basically they're just kind of making the characters whatever class they kind of see fit, which is cool. So yeah, as you see there, for the pink Fs, instead of range, it's metal scraps now. But the metal scraps are they're kind of like the demon's infernal energy upgrades, where you can't just get the boss out. You can't just pull out the boss. You need to get to level 10. This guy is kind of the same way, where you need to get him to certain levels to really max out the metal scraps. So I believe you start out with, you can get up to 30. I think 30, if I'm not wrong, I think 30 guarantees a blue, 40 guarantees a purple, and 50 guarantees a legendary. Now, I was a little worried when they said this at first, because I figured that maybe you can just craft whatever. So, you know, like give Scotty a legendary axe, or Kelly like Amanda like a legendary, pistol, for example. Basically, I think that would break the game really for Demon. That would be just way too unfair for them. But as it turns out, like a lot of things in this game, what he crafts is RNG based, which I am A-okay with. I think that's cool. And yeah, you really don't know what you're going to get with this guy, but he is a guaranteed legendary, pretty much. So the way I have him built is for his skill tree, I put deep pockets, of course, for ammo, or shems and amulets. And then basically a crap ton of health, and then mastery of a two-handed weapon. That's just personal preference, but given the way this guy looks, he just, to me, feels right with a two-handed weapon. Another thing that he does too is that when he uses an amulet, there's a 50-50 chance that he actually won't spend the amulet. That it'll just go into that it'll just basically become that he uses the amulet effect and it doesn't go anywhere. You still save on an amulet. That's a 50-50 chance. It's a coin toss, and that's a pretty good chance right there, actually. Pretty good odds in your favor.
Stands between you and the necessary ritual. The lost pages of the Necronomicon and Kandarian dagger.
So I guess his one major drawback is that he can't use any ranged weapon. He's completely range illiterate, which is kind of fine. Range really isn't, unless you're a hunter. Range is, or a leader. Range is very ineffective for support, I would say, as well as warrior, which is obvious. But yeah, so this is my first game with him, and I'm just kind of trying to see how he is. We're playing against Warlord. Sadly, they did my my girl Henrietta dirty. She still isn't really. She's probably like the weakest demon now, which is sad, but it is what it is. They also finally nerfed Puppeteer, but really not that much. If you recall the power possessions, it gave, I believe, 25% damage and 95% health. So they took the damage from 25 and made it 15% health, but they still kept the health like ridiculously high. So it does slightly less damage, but the power possessions are still just a tank that take forever to take down. So that is what it is there. So I wouldn't really call it a nerf, or if it is a nerf, I think they focused on the wrong thing. The Puppeteer wasn't like super damaging. It was just more like its health was so ridiculous in that, and it's a little disheartening to see that they didn't notice that. So yeah, if you're a demon and you possess this guy, unless you're like right next to like somebody like a hunter and you just wail on them, I don't really see him being that effective. It's not like he has a gun. You can't like lock people in animation with like a pistol shot, for example. So yeah, he seems pretty consequence free in terms of getting possessed. So I had a long day today. I was planning on doing this earlier, but I had to take care of some stuff, so excuse me if I sound a little tired right now. So yeah, the blacksmith definitely brings something new to the table, where he can craft a legendary. Now, if you're going for legendary, though, the frequency of that, I think, might be like twice a game, at that. So it's not going to be like super OP. Like, he's not going to be shitting out legendary items, really. Maybe twice in the game, he can get you those legendaries. And I can see him being very effective with Necromancer, because it seems that like the little scraps, the green things that you see on the ground, you have to pick those up, and it's one metal scraps, and each one you pick up is 1 point. So if you get up to 50, then you can craft a legendary. And Necro, his kind of tactic that you usually see is just spamming basics on you, just basically Zerg rushing you with all of the skeletons. So if you have a team just slaughtering them, then yeah, I see him dropping a lot of the metal things, and I see that actually working out in the blacksmith's favor, or really the whole team's favor. Let's see. What else happened in the update? Oh yeah, they give a buff to Kelly's meat hammer too. I think it was like 30%. Now it's like 60%. So they're pretty committed to the idea of like making her, I wouldn't say a warrior, but pretty deadly with that meat hammer, like a melee weapon on top of range. Which that's cool and all, but well, I guess actually, yeah, that seems fine, because hunters did kind of get a nerf. Hunters take way more damage noticeably now, like they're weaker than even support, it seems. And then how basic units just attack you more frequently. It's harder to line up shots, especially if the demon just floods the area with basic units. But yeah, she's still. I'd be curious to play around with that later too. Kelly still seems like one of the strongest hunters out there. I guess only time will tell. So the blacksmith, I'll be honest, I watched Army of Darkness a couple months ago just to revisit it, and I already forgot who the blacksmith was. I think he's in like two scenes where he helps Ash put on his mechanical hand, and that's like it. I don't know. I'll look it up on YouTube later, but yeah, having a license like Evil Dead, I can see how that'd be really constricting, especially considering the first two movies are in the same location and barely change up the characters. So it's kind of nice that they're taking so much liberty with a license to just take the smallest characters, like hell, even like Ed Getley, who just shows up in the first part of Evil Dead 2 and dies like immediately. Um, it's nice to see them getting so much mileage out of what they got. They're really stretching the material thin, and that usually probably sounds like a kind of a negative thing to say, but not in this case. They're doing everything they can without making it just the Bruce Campbell show, kind of. What else do they have for this update? They put in new cosmetics, um, but the cosmetics are for the Army of Darkness squad, which we kind of already got. So, I mean, it's I guess cool that we have that, but at the same time, I'd like to see the other characters get some love. Like Arthur's new cosmetic looks to me just pretty much the same thing as what is the remake update brought kind of thing. Henry's too just looks like a sleeveless version of his other cosmetic. The only one that's kind of interesting is Warrior Ash, where he looks like a devil. So that's like what they did for the cosmetics. Not a huge deal, the cosmetics, one way or another, but it really feels lacking for some of the other characters, like Amanda, for example, that has like nothing. So with this support too, you're actually really incentivized to kill the basics. So now I have a legendary maxed out. You can see it's 50-50. Boom. Got a legendary shovel. Army of Darkness Ash was watching, so he was on top of that. And yeah, so that's basically the fullest capability of his power there. Now, in retrospect, I may have made a mistake off the bat just using the anvil because I think I had 10 there, and I would have got to this legendary status earlier had I not done that. But hey, that's what a first game is for. Live and learn. So as far as I know, it's just a theory, but yeah, it definitely looks like the metal scraps. Every time a basic dies, they'll drop one of those. But yeah, the damage the guy does is seems to be pretty on par with a warrior, really, which is which is pretty cool. I wonder how that's gonna feel on demon side though. But yeah, this guy is definitely a hybrid, kind of him and Kelly. It seems like they're kind of playing around with hybrid classes, so you're not exactly just locked into one role. Which it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But it looks like they're pretty happy with hunters, which I kind of am happy with hunters too. They're a higher skill cap, but they still can do a lot of damage. Um, Warriors are the same, but support. This guy definitely seems like he's definitely going head to head with Cheryl in terms of the best support here, because she can do her passive heal, but I don't know. This guy can just basically crap out a legendary at a certain point in the game. That's pretty cool. On top of that too, he tanks damage pretty well. I mean, especially the way I got him built, where like with max health and everything, he just doesn't feel like a bitch ass support that needs to hide behind the team. Really, like he feels like he holds his own. I mean, look at that, 2 slices to an elite with a blue sword, and he just kills him. So this guy is definitely no joke. In fact, he might even be OP. I guess time will tell. Oh yeah, and they have a new mission too with Henry the Red, and they got some cool stuff with it. Like near the end of the mission, they start playing like 80s like hair metal. Kind of gives like a heavy metal vibe to it, I guess you could say. Um, Seems like it's fun, and then you fight the witch on top of a tower. I gotta upload that game, but it's pretty easy. Really, but the only thing about it is the reward you get for that is just a Nobi recording, which is kind of disappointing. I like the Mia and David mission where you get like you get screamers, you get some stuff you can kind of customize your characters with. I was hoping they would keep that trend going, but it sounds like they just stuck to the recordings, which is kind of a shame. So if I had to make a guess with this guy, with warriors and hunters, like it's probably better for them if they focus on the possessed units. He seems like he would be very good at kind of doing crowd control, just clearing out basics and everything. Which he's also incentivized to do so because then he can collect the metal scraps and keep up the fun. Since we got the book, I'm just going to use the anvil now. Ash seems on board with what I'm doing here. And look, the legendary, I think, staff. And the demon rage quit. I didn't even talk about staffs, so I haven't had a chance to really use that. Poor Henrietta. She seems underpowered right now. But, so yeah, that's a taste of the blacksmith. He seems pretty powerful. And I'll be curious to play more games with him, but I like that they're willing to take risks and kind of break out of the mold for new characters. And I'm really happy that they gave the leaders some TLC, because I do miss playing as them. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this game. Hope you enjoyed, and take care.